I am completely disappointed because, what we told Nigerians was not what had happened in 2015.
So it was a lie.
We lied. We should admit we lied.
To Nigerians. We deceived Nigerians.
We deceived. Even though we deceive people, the PDP, for campaign. But of course, we were a replica of what we were accusing the PDP of.
Or even worse.
Worse. Not even. Eliminate the word worse.
But Buhari was a catch, isn't it? People wanted the exit of PDP, thinking that Buhari was the Messiah at the time. But now there are those who will say Buhari was a disaster. Those who do not see that Buhari did anything good in that 8 years will think that Buhari wasn't the best for Nigeria at the time. What happened?
Buhari was also used and done.
Who used him?
Buhari's charisma was needed at that point in time by the political elite to eliminate Jonathan. And shortly after Buhari had taken over power, these set of political elites emerged and hijacked government. And Buhari was a stranger. I can say this at any point in time. Buhari was a stranger in his own government. And I can corroborate this because I went to see the president in 2020 when I was out of office. And I told him, Mr. President, this wasn't what we told Nigerians. And that I have conscience. We campaigned and convinced Nigerians. When I look at the type of investment the common people put in our government, and here we are today with insecurity. When we came in, it was only the Northeast. As at 2020, I told him it was not possible to even travel from Abuja to Kaduna. And I dared him. I said, Mr. President, if you disbelieve what I'm saying, or what I was saying, please roll out brigade of gas now, and I join you. We drive from Abuja to Daura, and I promise him that if bandits do not attack him, I will go and die in exile. I briefed him about the security situation, about the hardship, and to be very fair to the president, he expressed surprise, meaning from my own judgment, some of the things I said were things he was hearing them for the first time. But I'm not surprised that such has happened. Because even when we were in government, it has happened. It was me who, even at the Federal Executive Council meeting, that informed him when the DSS and EFCC were trigger drawn in Asokoro here for 3 days. They held the entire environment hostage, and the president didn't know. It was everywhere on the press, print media.
But the president, the Buhari that we saw, is usually with newspapers. We saw him reading the newspapers. Maybe they gave him a different newspaper.
Well, those who had such knowledge had actually claimed that his newspapers are different. But from this particular incident where the president was in Nigeria for 3 good days, and we went to the Federal Executive Council meeting, and I was expecting the issue to have been on the agenda, the first thing we will look at. And until we finished our meeting, it was not there. I had to introduce it through AOB. And the president was completely in confusion, listening to what I was saying. And at the end of the day, we even left without any closing prayer because he was visibly angry. And when he left, on my way to my office, I saw those 2 agencies under his office, directly under his office, holding a complete community hostage for 3 days because of whatever their interest they had, and the president didn't know. There was no security to his table. The national security advisor could not inform him. The so-called courtiers and veranda boys, none of them, thought it wise to save his image and integrity to inform him.
So there was an overtaking of the Buhari government under his watch.
For me, Buhari's hurricane, Buhari's integrity was needed. It was a political bite needed to eliminate Jonathan and his government.
Okay, the person talking is the former Minister of Sports under President Muhammadu Buhari, Solomon Dalong, and you all know how incompetent this man was then. I mean, this is the man that made that famous quote, we spended it. I'm sure you remembered it. But we're not talking about this man. We're talking about Buhari, Nigeria, and state capture. I don't think you need this man to tell you the mess of an election that happened in 2015. What happened in 2015 was not an election. What happened in 2015 was not a political mission to rescue Nigeria. What happened in 2015 was not an avenue to usher change in Nigeria. What happened in 2015 was a political calculation to capture Nigeria. What happened in 2015 was a gathering of desperados, political gladiators who are hungry for power, who are hungry to have a taste of the nation's resources. That was what happened in 2015. But what is most unfortunate is that majority and millions of Nigerians fell for that scam in 2015. It was so obvious and glaring because they presented President Muhammadu Buhari. Looking at President Muhammadu Buhari, he does not even have that leadership acumen, that charisma. I don't know the charisma that Solomon Dalong is talking. The right words for him to use was that President Muhammadu Buhari has that popularity, that northern popularity to get block vote from the conservative northern state. That was all President Muhammadu Buhari has. Aside that, there is nothing about him that shows that he has that acumen, that leadership qualities, that charisma to lead a complex nation like Nigeria. And the political elite that wanted to capture Nigeria, they are aware of it. They knew that President Muhammadu Buhari do not even represent the true leadership that Nigeria needed at that point in time. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was far ahead of President Muhammadu Buhari in times of leadership. All they wanted from him was that northern bloc vote to win an election. Making Nigeria better was not in their agenda. Bringing real change in Nigeria was not in their agenda, because at that point in time, Nigeria was progressing under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Nigeria was rated the third fastest growing economy at that time. The same fuel subsidy that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed today that has plunged the country into perpetual hardship, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan removed it in 2012, and the price of fuel was being sold for 165 naira. But guess what? Those people that wanted to capture Nigeria, those political gladiators, they gang up against Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, sold lies and propaganda to Nigerians, told Nigerians that removing the fuel subsidy will collapse the economy, it will destroy their life. And Nigerians went to the streets to protest against the removal of fuel subsidy. And Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was even transparent about the whole process of the removal, how the proceeds from the removal will be used. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan even created a program called Shopee program. This program will oversee the utilization of the funds that will be realized from the removal of the fuel subsidy. Everything was transparent, and it was evident that the funds will be managed well compared to what we have under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nobody is even aware of how much has been recovered so far. There is no program to oversee the utilization of these funds. Everything is being done in shady dealings, but Nigerians are calm. The same Nigerians that went on the street to protest against Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, a more transparent and accountable government. It's crazy how some Nigerians went from defending and supporting President Muhammadu Buhari all through his 8 years tenure in office to supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the same people cut out from the same pages of the book. Everything Tinubu is doing today is a replica of what President Muhammadu Buhari did, but in a more brazen and despicable manner. You talk about nepotistic appointments, you talk about shady dealings, everything. All they care about is power. But the most important question we should be asking ourselves is, how come Nigerians allow themselves to be deceived twice? How will they allow people who are desperate for power, people who are desperate for wealth, the nation's resources, without doing anything to fix the country, to continue ruining their life? Nigeria economy was in better hands under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. If there is anything else, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is someone that respects the rule of the law. The key governmental institutions were working perfectly well. The National Assembly was up and doing, and they were doing their job effectively. The ministers under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan were brilliant minds that were doing their job to ensure that the country moved forward. How did we go from what we experienced under Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to what we experienced under President Muhammadu Buhari and what we are currently experiencing now? We are experiencing high level of political rascality. The people at the helm of affairs, they do whatever they want to do and go away with it. All the government institutions have been captured by the executive. You talk about the National Assembly, an institution that ought to be serving the people, an institution that ought to be loyal to the people, is not being loyal to the president. You talk about the judiciary. This judiciary today is the worst we've ever seen in the history of this country. The judiciary is now for the highest bidders. Any country whose judiciary is captured is a country that is heading to anarchy. Just look at what is happening to Dele Farotimi. He wrote a book exposing the criminality in the Nigerian judiciary, and the same judiciary is fighting him. They've ruled that his book should be confiscated. They've asked him to stop printing more books. They've arrested him. They've detained him for a civil matter. Dele Farotimi is even a lawyer. If they can do this to a lawyer, how much an ordinary Nigerian? Everything we are experiencing in this country today, the hardship, the state capture, the rot in the judiciary, the rot in the National Assembly, the collapse of the Independent National Electoral Commission, an independent body that ought to conduct a free and fair election in this country. I mean, it was the same free and fair election in 2015 that ushered in APC, but ever since they got into power, they've destroyed every traces of free and fair election in this country. All of this is made possible because Nigerians allowed themselves to be deceived in 2015, and they've allowed themselves to continue to be deceived by these same political elites. Not only do they allow themselves to be deceived by these political elites, they keep on defending and supporting these same political elites that are destroying their future. Well, you don't need Solomon Lalong to come and tell you what happened in 2015. You don't need Solomon Lalong to come and tell you that Nigeria is in a mess. You don't need Solomon Lalong to tell you that you need to rise up and take back your country. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.